Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is well. Another jam-packed weekend of Premier League football off the back of an amazing week in the Champions League as well. Well, not for Spurs, it wasn't, and you weren't even in it. But for a lot of teams, it was decent.
Unbeaten, mate.
Yeah, unbeaten. I mean, your prediction against Everton didn't go down to plan. But we're not going to talk about last weekend because I didn't get a lot of results right, and you did. But we're here to talk about another Premier League weekend with Terry. Make sure you get your like buttons and subscriptions hit. How's things, mate?
Yeah, mate. Barring football, as in Man United, very good. But I'm enjoying everything else. I love the Champions League week. Had a couple of days up in Manchester. Yeah, it's all good, mate. Can't complain.
A lot of miles done, a lot of late nights, and then you're on another stream tonight. You've just finished one. You got that flipping N'Golo Kante work rate at the moment, haven't you?
Mate, it's got to be done, mate. It's got to be done. Don't know how I keep going, but you got to do it, yeah. Got to do it
for the love of the game.
Exactly.
Few topics to discuss. We'll get on to Chelsea versus Arsenal later and the Premier League title race. I want to start with Liverpool. Off the back of a 4-1 defeat against PSV, losing against Nottingham Forest, Liverpool fans at this moment in time are very much losing their mind, and the ones that are staying patient are losing patience. Where do you kind of sit with, before we get into Liverpool's game against West Ham, where do you kind of sit with the Arne Slot takes at the moment? Do you think he should get sacked? Do you think they should hold on to him?
He hasn't just... They've conceded more goals across all competitions than any other team in the Premier League this season. If you compare them to Arsenal, they've conceded as many goals as Arsenal have in the last... Arsenal conceded 7 goals all season in all comps. They've conceded 7 in their last 2 games. And I use that for context because this isn't just a bad run of form. This is diabolical on every level. Now, as a United fan, I've got no love loss when it comes to Liverpool. It's brilliant to see them where they are. But if we're going to be honest and unbiased and talk football, he has to be under immense pressure because this isn't a bad run of form, a bad patch. Something is broken. Now, I think there's multiple levels to it. I think Hughes and Edwards should take a massive slap on the wrist from FSG because they've signed off on this change of system and the kind of players to bring it to life. The system isn't working. The new signing so far, even Ekatike, who started brilliantly, has faded. I feel like the players are losing faith in the manager. They may not have turned on him in terms of leaks from the dressing rooms and arguments, but I look at that City game. They had back-to-back wins by playing a little bit more pragmatically, a little bit less expansive, and then they go out against City, open up and get battered. And I think the players are looking at this and saying, we're being embarrassed here. The system isn't helping. It's a mess. You can't change all your players. You've got to change the results. And I think he's very close to losing his job. It's not for me as a United fan to say whether he should or shouldn't be sacked as in or out debates per se. But for me, if he loses his job, he's got nobody else but himself to blame. It wouldn't shock me whatsoever. And let's be honest, how else are they've got to reignite their season, and sometimes a new face and a new voice and a new coach can do that. What you don't want to happen is just to continue for the rest of the year, miss out on European football, win no trophies, and then a new manager's picking up a team in the summer who are absolutely broken and disheveled. The issues at Liverpool can be resolved very quickly. This is a title-winning squad with £400 million of new talent being brought into it. So for me, Slot, I think he's done enough to be given a chance because he has won a league title. But if you actually look at their trends, look at the goals they're conceding, look at how they're playing, I think he's right on the edge of losing his job. Right on the edge.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. I think if he does, they do lose against West Ham on Sunday, who, by the way, have won 2 of their last 4 home games, 2 in a row, sorry. They drew against Bournemouth. They're not the sort of team you want to play when you're desperate for points because they will make it very difficult for you. They'll go with a pragmatic approach, play on the counter-attack. And I feel like everyone's kind of sussed out Liverpool at the moment. I mean, 9 defeats in their last 12 games. For anyone, a lot of people would argue is a sackable offence. But like you said, £400 million spent, a title-winning squad, which most people would argue it's got better because they've included Alexander Isak, Florian Wirtz, Kirkes. A lot of Liverpool fans are saying that they shouldn't have sold Luis Diaz now, looking at his recent form in Bayern Munich. And you could maybe argue that. But still, with that investment, I think the daggers will be out. I actually think as well West Ham will get a draw this weekend. And I think even a draw is enough for the fans that are being patient to turn on him, because let's call it for what it is. West Ham aren't a brilliant footballing team. They where they are for a reason. They're 17th in the league. They're only a point off of 19th Burnley. Yes, they've won a couple of recent games because they've got a new manager bounce, but Liverpool should be going there with the players they've got and winning that game comfortably. But I don't see that happening. I mean, we both predicted they would go and bounce back against Nottingham Forest, and that, the smoke was blown straight back in our face. And then they've followed that up with a 4-1 defeat. Ivan Perisic, who was at Tottenham 3 or 4 years ago, is stepping up, at 38 years of age or whatever he is in the Champions League. I mean, if West Ham win, surely a lot of people are going to be slot out. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that already are, but even
I'm going with a West Ham win. I'm going 2-1 West Ham. I'm just
interesting.
Liverpool can win, so I'm not. I won't do this. Impossible for Liverpool. Liverpool have good chances in the game too. In all their losses, they've had. Who? Sorry. Who
they got after? Oh, they got Sunderland
away.
No, at Anfield. I'm going to quickly bring out their fixtures. They got Sunderland, then they've got Leeds away, and then they've got Inter Milan and Brighton.
This is the thing with their fixtures, including the Forest and this is the problem. The PSV and Forest games included are all looked at as this really winnable run, and they've lost 2 of that beginning winnable run. And they then got West Ham and Sunderland. They're not going to lose all these games, but up until that Inter Milan game, from Forest right through to Leeds, that was considered highly winnable and 9 points. And they've already lost 6 of them. So my view in those next few games, if Arne Slot's there, I think they lose to West Ham. I think they beat Sunderland. I think they draw with Leeds.
You think they beat Sunderland?
Yeah, Sunderland will attack them, and I think that's what Liverpool need. Where I think West Ham and Leeds will be far more pragmatic in their approach, and they're struggling against that. So, I don't think Slot's going to turn it around now, and I hope he doesn't, and I hope they don't sack him, and I hope it just continues all season. But yeah, I'm going with a 2-1 West Ham win.
I look at that Inter Milan game as well, knowing the fact they've lost to Galatasaray, they've just lost to PSV. They're not in the top 8. If they were to go to the San Siro against Inter Milan and lose, they could be in real danger of not even making the. Let's have a look at the Champions League table. Not even making the next round. And if they don't make the next round of the Champions League, I mean, they're 13th at the moment, right? They're 24th is 3 points behind, so they'll still be within a qualification scenario. But look at that. They've conceded 8 in the Champions League.
Yeah, they're not going to drop down to 25th. But what they're probably going to have to do is have a playoff game. So it's an extra game of football that nobody wants. And you never know who you're going to get. Right now, they could. No, you can't get English. I don't think English teams can play each other. But I look at teams in there, and I look at Bayer Leverkusen, who seem to be turning their season round. They could get them. Barcelona are down there in 18th at the moment. Again, Barcelona, it's a tough one because both have like susceptible high lines. Napoli are in there. Marseille are starting to look very good the other day when I watched them. There's loads of teams in there, and there's only 3 games remaining now. Liverpool probably, to finish in the top 8 right now, Liverpool are going to need, looking at the other teams that are in there with Chelsea in there, Madrid, they're going to need at least 2 wins out of their last 3. Liverpool, they need that, and as you say, it's Inter Milan for them next in the Champions League. That's they're away for that. I think they lose that game. Yeah, they lose that game against Inter Milan. Away. Oh, and then Marseille away. Or
the final game is Qarabag at home. Let's say they beat Qarabag. I don't think they beat Marseille right now the way they're playing.
Yeah, that's maybe what, as I say, that's why if the bad form continues, they have to look at this and go, well, there's 2 games remaining to save the Champions League season. If Slot isn't turning it around, I just don't think they can. The difference is as well when it comes to sacking managers, and every club's in a different scenario. This is a title-winning team and a brilliant squad. They've got brilliant people that run the club. I think they've made mistakes in allowing the changes to happen to the system and formation. But they're very likely to turn things around quickly. If they go out and go, right, we need to find someone that can play similar to how Slot did and similar to how Klopp, and similar to how Slot was playing last year. We need to revert back to what this squad knows, and we need to get it back to the highest possible level. They could click back into gear almost instantly. And sometimes a change is as good as a rest and a new voice comes in. So, yeah, I think that if over the next game or 2, it doesn't improve, they won't win the Premier League from that point, but they can save their season in terms of FA Cup and Champions League because the squad's good enough to win it still. So I just don't see the point of writing your entire season off just to stick with someone because they won you a trophy last year when the trajectory is going down.
Yeah, they're not in the League Cup either, are they? They went out to
Palace.
Yeah, Palace, who have now got Arsenal. I agree. They can still go far in the Champions League. I mean, you've only got to look at some of the teams that have made the final and semi-finals recently, but there is a huge game on Sunday, and a lot of people are saying this is Mikel Arteta's biggest game of the season at this point. They've just won a North London derby, 4-1, Eberechi Eze hat-trick. They follow it up with playing the best attacking team in Europe, who've scored 65 goals this season, winning 3-1. Odegaard only played 10 minutes. No Gyökeres, no Havertz, no Gabriel, Calafiori on the bench. Up against the Chelsea side that have just beaten Barcelona very, very comfortably.
Yeah.
I am very much on the fence here. Part of me sees a Chelsea win. Part of me sees an Arsenal win. I mean, I'm looking at this right now as if Arteta wins this game convincingly, it will be I'm not afraid to say this. This will be the biggest result in his league career at Arsenal. If he goes to Stamford Bridge and wins in the same manner that he has against Spurs and against Bayern, I think that result will be bigger than the other two, because there's so much riding on this in terms of the title could go 9 points clear of Chelsea, or Chelsea close the gap within 3 points. I mean, we'll start with Chelsea first. What have you kind of made of their recent form and going into this game?
Nothing I've seen from Chelsea this season has surprised me. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I felt they were a team this season that would be, and to give your viewers an understanding of my perception of a title race, it may not fit theirs, but just to give them the context, the title race starts match week 1. You're in the race all season. You're either in or out of the race all season. The last 10 games, a lot of people call the title race. I just call that the running or the home straight. So you've got to build a foundation so that I'll give this example. Let's just say you're doing the 1500 meters. If you've got the fastest if you're the fastest in the world when it comes to the final 100 meters in the 1500 meters, but you've already been lapped by the winner, it's irrelevant how fast and good your finish is if you can't win the race, right? So it's about building that foundation. I felt Chelsea would be within a handful of points of whoever the league leaders were become the end of the season. I think they're going to make top 4 comfortably this year, Chelsea. So nothing surprised me. They had a few dodgy games. The Sunderland match, United and Brighton. The United and Brighton games they were down to 10 men, and they really didn't handle that well. They were too cavalier. The manager made mistakes. But overall, I think they've played some really good football. They create a lot of chances. They've scored a lot of goals this year. The clean sheets are improving. So defensively, they're getting better and they're growing as a side still. I think their game against Barcelona, yes, there was a high line to exploit, but they executed against that perfectly. They defended amazingly. Individual players won their battles. Something I'm advocating for in football that we need more of, not less, is individual moments of brilliance, both defensively, in goal, in attack. Caicedo was doing that the whole game, winning every time they did get their line broken with a pass by Barca. Caicedo coming back to win the ball again. Gusto joining in. Reece James getting involved. They were just fantastic. And I think what it does for this weekend, they go into the game against Arsenal probably with their highest level of confidence, but I also think they go into this game under the most amount of pressure. So, because if they win, it's 3 points behind. Come on, this push, and they should then push for the title. Doesn't mean they'll win it. Doesn't mean it's a disgrace if they don't win it, but it should be, come on, let's try and win the league title and see how far we can go. I feel if they lose, there may be a feeling of this momentum we've built in the last few weeks gone. 9 points off top, from the proverbial 6-pointer. We could win the league. We could push to win the league to, it's over. That's going to be sort of deflating for them overall. So there is that pressure on them to win. But I'm excited to watch Chelsea. So, that all being said, I'm really excited to watch them. I think they play beautiful football. They've got some fantastic talent. João Pedro, Palmer looks like he's back. The midfield battle in this game is going to be absolutely amazing. Caicedo, Enzo. I want to know. I think Reece James should be starting in the midfield. He's one of the only players I can him Ryan Giggs. There's probably a few I'm forgetting about who can genuinely play in the Premier League 2 positions at a world-class level. Right back and central midfield as Giggsy played left wing, midfield, world-class level. Very few players have the ability to do that. So Reece James in there for me. It's going to be a tight game. I think Arsenal are the better side overall, but it's a derby, so that's partly a leveler, and it's at Stamford Bridge, so they have that home advantage, and that brings the gap a little closer. It's going to be an amazing game. I can't wait to watch it. I think Chelsea have got a fantastic chance.
With Cole Palmer being back, here's a question to put you on the spot. If you're Enzo Maresca right now, would you start him?
I wouldn't, because I know, and this is where there's a lot of pressure on them to win this game, but this is where a manager does his job. The manager can't behave like a fan. The manager can't behave like a player that will go, yeah, throw me in. He's been out with a groin injury for months. He's had a little setback with a stub toe. Although he's declared fit to play and start, I still think football
going to be there, is it?
Yeah, I believe in. I know that it's probably got a different name technically with sports scientists, but he cannot be fully match fit because he hasn't played matches. It's the equivalent of a boxer having ring rust, and I think that he may have that. And if you throw him in, imagine how bad a look this is for Enzo. He starts him, and 3 or 4 sprints into the game, the muscle goes again. Maybe have him on the bench.
Bring him on, say, if it's a tight game, 20 minutes.
0-0, 1-1, 20 minutes to go. Someone like Palmer coming on could be the difference maker. I wouldn't rush him back in. I would be starting Esteval. I would be starting Esteval in this game and letting I'd say to that young man, just play with freedom. Obviously, freedom, track back, do the defending, do the defensive side of the work. But when you're on that ball, play with freedom, play with flair. Esteval's an absolute genius talent and is a world-class player in the making. So I'd be starting him with Palmer coming on from the bench.
Yeah, that Esteval performance against Barcelona, he's just playing football with a smile on his face, like the Brazilian way, running at his fullback. It doesn't matter who he comes up against. And there's so many different matchups in this game in terms of, like you said, the midfield battle. Right now, Reece James and Caicedo, a world-class double pivot. Declan Rice, arguably the best box-to-box central midfielder in Europe right now, with Gyökeres potentially back, Martin Odegaard potentially back, fully fit. With Arsenal, I agree with what you said. I think they are the stronger team overall, definitely from a centre-back perspective, even though Gabriel is out. With Arsenal, I feel like if they go on to win this game, I don't want to say title race over by any stretch, of the imagination, but I'm looking at it right now. I'll pull the Premier League table up in a second. If they go on to win this game, they are, like I said, 9 points clear of Chelsea, 7 points clear of Manchester City. If we want to include Liverpool for the sake of it, even though they're not really in a race anymore, they could potentially go 14 points clear of them. And the narrative, I want to see what the narrative is going to be then, because they only scored 1 set-piece goal against Bayern Munich. They didn't score any set-piece goals against us. The goalpost keeps changing. It was a Bayern Munich time without a Bayern Munich side, without Luis Diaz. They weren't fully strength. Harry Kane didn't get any service. Those excuses aren't Arsenal's problem. Like Kimmich coming out saying it's not football the way they played. If they put in a performance like they did against Bayern and like they did against us, I think they win this game quite convincingly. But like you said, because it's going to be so much even because they're away from home, I can't. I'm so on the fence in terms of who I think is actually going to go in and win this game. The fact that they've got Odegaard potentially fully fit now, Gyökeres back, and Palmer back, the 60th to 75th minute substitution period of the game when most managers make their subs, for me, will be the difference in who goes on to win this game, because I think it's going to be so close. I don't think you'll see, the 4-5 goals thrillers like we've seen at the Bridge before. I think there'll be max 2 goals in this game. I think it could be a 1-1, a 2-0, a 1-0 win. Like, I'm so on the fence, mate. It's unreal. I know it might not be exactly what viewers want to hear. They might want to say, Chelsea are going to get muddied, etc., or Arsenal are finished. But I just don't see a world in which either team runs away with this game. Like, what are your thoughts in terms of score predictions and Arsenal?
Before I do the score prediction, I want to address something you said about sort of, it's the phrase, theirs to lose. And theirs to lose is a seed being planted, not by you necessarily, but in general. It's a seed that gets planted to go, they should win. They should win from here, even if I don't think they're very good. But I hope they don't, so I can chop their legs off and pull the rug from under their feet, or whatever other phrase we want to use, and go, they're rubbish. If Arsenal win, their quality is shining through, and they'll have put themselves in the most brilliant of positions. I won't call it's theirs to lose. I would say it's theirs to win. They have put themselves in a position to win it and to be the clear favourites if they win this weekend. Yes, it's 13 games in, and I won't. The reason I say that is they'll be in a brilliant position to win it. It's theirs to win because you'll have a 7, a 9, and at least an 11-point gap, respectively, over the other 3 teams that have any capability of winning it in Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester City. It would be 13 games into the season. We're only 5 matches now after this weekend, short of games short of the midway point. We're getting very close to 50% of the season being up, and they'll have lost 1 game. And if you look currently at your cities, if you look at your Chelseas, you look at Liverpool. I know City 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago could go on a 15-game winning run, but there's been nothing in the last 15, 16 months from City that says they can do that. Chelsea haven't proven they can do that. And Liverpool right now, as we said, they look a bit broken. And even with a 15-game winning streak, 11 points is a lot to pull back. I just look at Arsenal. They play Brentford at home, which I think they'll win. They have got a tough away game at Villa. Villa have got an amazing record in their last 15 to 20 games at home. They then play Wolves at home, which I think is an absolute gimme as an example. Then it's Everton away is a tough game, but I think they'll win. And I do think the Crystal Palace game's at the Cup. So you look at their next 1, 2, 3, 4 league games after that, which would take them to 17 games. I really can only see them dropping points to Aston Villa in those 4 matches. And that's the thing when you've got that lead. They might look in that 4-game period that we're talking about. How likely is it that City win all 4, Liverpool win all 4, and Chelsea win all 4? I think that's more unlikely than Arsenal dropping points in more than 1 game. So they're likely to extend their lead consistently over that period. So it will be theirs to win. It will be Arsenal's to win, and I think their brilliance will have put them in such an amazing position if they're able to do it. In terms of the game, I've said already, Chelsea are improving. Chelsea are dangerous, and Chelsea can win this match. And a lot of people will I agree with you, will say, you don't sit on the fence, give an actual prediction. I am going with a narrow Arsenal win. Right now, it's just what my gut says. My gut says 2-1, fairly late goal. But I want to preface
the United game similar to that.
Similar, but I also think Chelsea are going to walk away from this game disappointed, but also they're not going to lose and look crap. It's going to be one of those games that you lose and forget the Standard FC mugs. Real Chelsea fans will go, I know we lost, but I'm seeing what this team's becoming and I'm happy. And I'm just going to, again, I don't want to sit on the fence and go, it could go either way, because it could. And I will say this as well, if Chelsea win, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm shocked. Also, for Arsenal to get that win, let me say this now, because you'll get this analysis anywhere else. Arsenal are going to have to be at their very best. Maybe even one of their best Premier League performances under Mikel Arteta to win this game. I think the quality is going to be that high on Sunday.
That's what I was saying. I think this is going to be, if they go and win, and do a really good performance, I think a lot of people would say this is Arteta's biggest result in his managerial career since he's been at Arsenal. I am going to sit on the fence and go 1-1. The last topic I want to discuss is your team, Manchester United, losing against 10-men Everton, in which I thought Everton put in a really, really good performance. You haven't got an easy game this weekend, but I saw Staffy on your show earlier today at the very, very end said Amorim out. Where do you kind of sit with Man United? If you don't beat, I'm going to say right now, if you beat Crystal Palace on their in Selhurst Park, looking at their recent form at home, I would be quite surprised. I'm not going to lie. I think the only home defeat they've had all season was against Larnaca in the Conference League. They've beat Liverpool at home. They've beaten Brentford at home, AZ Alkmaar at home. They drew at Bournemouth. They are on some good form. Where do you kind of sit going into this game? And should Ruben get sacked if you don't win?
I don't think we're in a lot of trouble this weekend. We're in danger of being absolutely destroyed. Palace have had our numbers so many times, I lose count in the last 4 or 5 years. Home and away, they've beaten us so regularly. And they're a very, very, very well-oiled machine. And we are so average most of the time at home. We are so poor and inconsistent away from home. I can't make an argument for us to win. We could pull off a Liverpool level performance where we're just really good on the day. It's happened a few times in the last 12 months, but I've got no faith. I think that's why the Everton game hurt so much, because most of us expected to lose.
What is the Luke Shaw situation? The fact that Brian and Bramo didn't go up front, the substitution to bring on Dalot. Like, if I'm a Man United supporter and I'm sitting in the stadium and we are chasing the game, they're down to 10 men, and the first change is to bring on Dalot, who's a right back, to put him on as an attacking left winger. I mean, you must have been scratching your head. Even some of the most positive Man United fans must have been sitting there scratching your head at that substitution. Because I know you didn't have Benjamin Sesko. I know Cunha got injured in the warm-up, etc. But surely you'd put Brian and Bramo up front. You'd push Luke Shaw or Dalot really far forward. You'd throw one of the centre-backs in the attack, because Everton, for 60 minutes that game, weren't doing anything.
Well, we had a young kid who's really well respected and thought of, an attacking player, Shea Lacey, on the bench. Didn't come on. Could have come on for a centre back. Those things don't help him. He should have thrown the kitchen sink at it, and he didn't. So that sort of saying of that you don't want to leave something on the table. We did. We left everything on the fucking table. It was horrendous. But because we know we're probably going to lose to Palace because they're better than us and we're away, I think the Everton game hurts more, because then we lost that game. But for me anyway, what I couldn't get out of my head was, even though it was one defeat, it felt like 2 defeats, because you know you're going to lose. I have no faith we're going to win the next game. And it's also been confirmed today. Cunha's still out. Šeško's still out. So we've got neither of those 2 players back. They're both... Cunha's going to be back for the West Ham game. I'm still not sure what happened to him unless it's been updated. I think he might have got concussion, so there's nothing you can do about it. Šeško's still going to be out. No setbacks to the knee injury, but he's there. And look, after the Palace game, you got West Ham, you've got Wolves. And again, those 2 matches, this is what I was so disappointed about. We were so good at home up until the Everton game. You win that. I'm not saying you get a free hit against Palace because I want to win, but you might take that loss because then you think, you can win the next 2 games against West Ham and then away to Wolves. Wolves have been poor. But I look at it now and I think we'll lose to Palace. And then the West Ham and the Wolves game become absolutely imperative to win, because you start dropping points in those games. I mean, he just has to go. And I'm not someone that ever sits in the manager in, manager out camp. I don't sit with the people that typically sit in those camps, because I find them all too polarizing. I find them they start ignoring other major issues at the club just to push the agenda on a manager, and I don't think that helps us. I don't like the discourse, so I try and stay away from it. And there's still loads of other things to improve, but he doesn't deserve to keep his job. There's nothing I've seen that tells me overall he doesn't deserve Ruben Amorim to still be here. If they're keeping him because they can see things bubbling behind the scenes and they feel that once the squad's built, it's going to be absolutely amazing, then I'll bow down to their superior knowledge and admit I was wrong when that happens. But outside of it, he doesn't deserve to be the Manchester United manager. That doesn't mean the midfield is going to be any better with a new... It might improve if we change formation, but I still think we will be a team that struggles. I still think we'll be a team that loses at least as many games. Or hang on, let me rephrase that. I still think we'll be a team that fails to win as many games as we do win. I don't think there's a manager in the world that can get us above a 50 to 55% win ratio with the squad. So we're still going to fail to win a lot of games, but that's better than 30% that Ruben has us at. So I think the squad can get to a better level, but it's still got to improve. What I'm not allowing myself to do is get deluded into thinking, if Oliver Glasner comes in, or Areola comes in, or Xavi comes in, suddenly we're going to win 60, 70% of our games and go to that level. I don't think this squad can do that. Can it get to 50%, 55? Maybe a high 50 percentage, potentially. But yeah, we're in a bit. I'm really nervous about this game. I think Palace will win. I think Palace win 3-1 as well. I think they batter us
3-1.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Someone who said it might have been on TalkSport that Ruben and Ange have got a similar sort of theory in terms of it's live or die by system. It didn't matter the personnel we had under Ange Postecoglou. We had Archie Gray playing at centre back with flipping Dragusin, and we would play the same way. And that Everton game kind of told me the same sort of thing, that even in the surroundings you've got with Everton so deep, 10 men, he's still living and dying by his system. But these run of games, I'm not going to lie, Villa away, like you said, that they're unbeaten record. Bournemouth aren't in the best of form, but I think that's still going to be a very good game. If you don't beat Palace and your score prediction is correct, I'm going to go over 2-1 Palace. But if you lose 3-1, I think, I'll be honest with you, I think the daggers will be out. And then if you go on to not win against West Ham, who again are one of those teams that, you know, can just turn up to Old Trafford and get a win. And you know the way they'll play. They'll put 10 men behind the ball, play for set pieces. Souček nods one at the back sticks. And all of a sudden, you know, Old Trafford gets toxic and the roof's pissing out again. But
yeah.
But look, we are going to wrap up. What sort of content have you got coming out over the weekend?
So on Terry Fluids TV, my own channel, we'll be doing just a preview to the big game of the weekend, and then Saturday and Sunday it'll be live match reactions on the Football Terrace to every top 6 games. There'll be Spurs and City's games on Saturday, and then United, Palace, Liverpool, West Ham, and of course the big London derby, Arsenal go to Chelsea on the Sunday. So that's my weekend. Just get to watch football and react to it. I'm a very lucky man.
Yeah, the work rate's insane, mate. When you said big London derby, I thought you were going to say Spurs, Fulham. I don't even want to talk about us at the moment because I feel Thomas Frank's in a lot of trouble, but we'll leave that for another day.
Yes, we will. We will.
Make sure you drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you all in the next one. We're out.